Jets fans, on a day where we lose the heart and soul of one of the greatest teams in franchise history, one of the greatest players in franchise history, Nick Mangold, for those that are unaware, tragically passing away at the age of 41. Far, far, far too early. A guy who should have lived for another 70 years, Nick Mangold. Solid gold individual, solid gold human being, amazing football player, passes away at 41 from complications from kidney disease. Just a gut punch to this fan base. On the day that happens, if you're not a religious person, this might be a conversion event because you felt number 74 at the Jets' back this entire game. And I thought I was going to come on here as the Mike Luciano, the Jet Press podcast. Justin Fried will be joining us a little bit later. And I thought I was going to complain about the team being 0-8 and the defense not being able to stop the run and Joe Flacco and Jamar Chase doing whatever they wanted. I really thought I was going to do that. And then from about midway through the third quarter onwards, the Jets, led by a man in Justin Fields, the Jets owner did not even want, said he was the main reason that they're 0-7, puts together one of the finest games of his career. Given the circumstances, you could argue the best game of his career. They put up 39 points, and they win one for Nick Mangold. Now, they're 1-7. They are by no means out of the woods yet. But my God, Aaron Glenn gets his first win, and that had to feel good. Just a load off everybody's shoulders. Thank you for tuning in. I am Mike Luciano. Justin Fried will be joining us in just a little bit because he has quite a few news stories to hit from this particular comeback. The Jets are 1-7. They are 1-7, and they beat a decent Bengals team that have been performing well on the road. That's a quality win. And it came in, dare I say, the most unpredictable way possible. Some people may have figured out that maybe the Jets could end up winning this, but then right beforehand, think about the lead up to this game. Tyrod Taylor looks like he's going to start. Then what do you know? He gets hurt. Justin Fields has to play days after the owner ripped him. Then no Garrett Wilson. Then no Sauce Gardner. Then the tragic Nick Mangold incident where he passes away at 41 just takes a giant chunk out of the heart and the verve of this fan base that's really never going to be replaced because he is an irreplaceable figure. And it sounds weird to say that about a center, but he was that good and that respected and that solid gold of a human being. Justin Fried joining us here on the Jet Press podcast. Nick Mangold is a guy that we both know professionally. He had done some work with Fansided in the past, Minute Media in the past. Everybody has nothing but good things to say about him. And when I saw that notification this morning, I just thought my heart sank because this was a guy who felt like he was going to live forever, especially in the Jets fandom context where he is going to live forever. And then after all of that and after all the stuff that happened in the week leading up to it, they put together a win, 39-38. Justin, I can't even put words together now. But one thing I want to do, maybe kind of ad-lib a traditional show before we let you get off your get what you have to get off your chest. We need to devote a lot of time to this game analysis-wise, but I want to leave some time at the end to just remember some memories of Nick Mangold,
Could not
because
agree more.
this was what a day in Jets fandom, and you could just see almost in the clouds in the sky somewhere that there was a number 74 up there, and he was watching over this team as Aaron Glenn finally gets his first win, and just this huge cloud is finally lifted over this Jets team, and boy, did they ever need it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I got a little emotional at the end of that game. Just thinking of what this means probably for the Mangold family. I don't know what you'd said to start, but I look, awesome win. But first and foremost, condolences to the entire family of Nick Mangold, his wife, his 4 kids. Just an unfathomable loss for the Jets community. Like you said, Mike, we were fortunate enough. Like I spoke to Mike a few years ago, or to Nick a few years ago, and could not have been nicer and more gracious with his time. Also, I don't think you're going to find a better ambassador for the New York Jets as an organization, both during and after his playing career. Like this is a legend through and through. This is what a legend looks like. And stuff like this puts things in perspective. What we do here, talking about this stupid football team that's a little less stupid today because they actually won. It's meaningless, right? Life is precious. Hug your loved ones. And thank you everyone for being here with us today. Let's see some love for Nick Mangold in the chat as well. Like you said,
let's
Mike,
see some love, some RIP 74, but let's also talk about the Jets winning a game. And as I mentioned beforehand in my little soliloquy about what I thought I was going to come on here and say, I thought it was going to be honestly a game where I was going to go rip Aaron Glenn for a little bit, because I thought you were getting well better than expected performance offensively with none of the weapons that they normally have. The fact they even scored a touchdown in the first half, I'm like, that's probably going to be it for the game. I'm surprised they even got that.
Mm-hmm.
And then midway through the third quarter, something changed. And it was just, they couldn't do anything wrong. Justin Fields, circumstances and all, maybe the best game of his career. Even better than the Pittsburgh game when you consider what was going on around him. We saw wide receivers make plays. We saw Mason Taylor find the end zone. We saw
Isaiah Williams. Isaiah Williams
and Arian Smith even had a really big clutch catch. That was like 25 yards.
Jacob in chat said the Mangold miracle. I love that.
The Mangold miracle. That's a great.
I love that.
That's a great name.
We got to coin that.
Mangold miracle.
Shout out Jacob for that. That's great.
Let's get that started. So, by the way, I saw a lot of Jets fans talking a lot of crazy stuff over the last couple of weeks about Tanner Engstrand. And look, this team is still really bad. Doesn't really change anything direction-wise. They're a one-win team. But Tanner Engstrand, that was him plopping his jewel case on the table and going, tell me, what now? That's what he did in this game. 40 points almost with a borderline college offense in terms of starting talent against an NFL defense that had Trey Hendrickson. Shout out the offensive line.
Oh my God, were they so good, dude?
Olu Fashanu, wonder what number he's wearing against Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah. Oh man, and Olu wearing 74. Oh my God.
Armand Membu shutting guys down.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times they had struggled running the ball against stacked boxes. I mean, every play, 5 yards, 6 yards, 20 yards, Hall and Davis, everybody. You could not ask for a better offensive game. If Garrett was playing, they may have had 50 points in this game. They could do no wrong.
Insane to even say. But
and that's even with that first quarter where Fields was checking into that run that didn't work and he was scared again. I'm like, oh, here we go again. 40 points in 3 quarters, Justin.
Very early PFF grades here, but Joe Tittman, 88.3 pass block grade. Armand Membu, 83.0. Olu Fashanu, 86.9.
Against Trey Hendrickson.
Josh Myers, 80.2. John Simpson, 83.8. At least as of right now, all 5 starting offensive linemen, PFF pass block grades, above 80.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't think I've ever seen all 5.
I don't think I've ever seen that either, Mike. This was one of the most dominant performances from an offense. And that's not even talking about the run blocking. That was just pass blocking. This is one of the most dominant performances from an offensive line that I have seen. And this Bengals defense is bad. Like their pass rush, especially Trey Hendrickson had to leave early with the hip injury that's already been bothering him. He clearly wasn't healthy even when he was out there. I would expect.
My God, if they trade him, what are they going to do? We talk about the Jets trading some of their edge rusher. What are they going to do with no Hendrickson?
And they're banged up too. No Cam Sample in this game too. Like their DN room is bad and it was banged up too. But like, holy shit, dude. What a performance from this offensive line. And it gave Justin Fields the time to be confident and composed in the pocket. It is crazy how much of a game or how much of football comes down to momentum and confidence. It is actually wild. Everything's a snowball effect when it comes, especially it seems like it's even more so with the Jets, but we saw the opposite, the inverse snowball effect this week, whereas in previous weeks, it's been, well, Fields is in his head and he continues is in his head and it gets worse and worse and worse. This was the opposite. He got into a rhythm. I don't want to say immediately because for the first 10 minutes of this game, Mike, it looked roughly the same as it has in recent weeks. This was as bad of a start to this game as pretty much every week in over the last like couple of months. There was the fourth down play where Fields checks out of the sneak into a pitch. You had 10 points allowed in your first 2 drives. This was a terrible start to this game. But credit to the Jets, man. They showed resolve. Credit to Aaron Glenn, who I thought pressed all the right buttons. Credit to Justin Fields, who was able to capitalize against a terrible Bengals defense and a really strong performance from his offensive line. This was as needed of a Jets victory as you are going to find. Football's fun, Mike. I forgot that football could be fun. This is the first time in 402 days that I've enjoyed a Jets victory. Since the last time that I gone on here and I said same old Jets is dead, that's the last time.
That's why I'm saying let's tamp down the
I'm
wide-ranging impacts of this win a little bit.
I'm not saying everything is fixed, and I also want to be clear here. Like you said, people were getting on Engstrand. I think it's deserved that people were getting on Engstrand, given the fact that this Jets offense had scored 1 touchdown, not in the fourth quarter, since week 1, and that was a 40-yard Justin Fields broken play scramble. It was valid. All the criticism against Fields, against Glenn, against Engstrand was valid, and that is why they needed this win to prove that maybe the narrative can shift a little bit. Maybe they lose out. I have no idea. But maybe, just maybe, this is the jumping off point where maybe they do win 3 more games down the stretch, even 4 more games. Let's get wild. And they, finish with 5 wins and you feel a lot more confident about Fields if he's back next year, and especially a lot more confident about this regime going to next year where they're likely going to be drafting a quarterback in the draft.
So I want to get Fields' stats up really quick because his EPA was about 16. So that's 16 points added in a 1-point game.
Hell yeah. What has been the last 2 weeks? -3?
It was a lot worse. It was -20 in the Broncos.
Oh my God.
21 of 32, 244 yards, 1 touchdown, and then he ran for 31 yards.
Yep.
254 rushing yards, 6.9 per carry for the Jets.
Bully ball. This was week 1. It was week 1. It was shades of week 1.
Do you know who the leading receiver was? It was Tyler Johnson, Isaiah Davis, rookie Mason Taylor, who had 5 catches and a touchdown. Isaiah Williams actually made wide receiver plays.
Dude, he looked good. Like he brings an element of explosiveness to this offense that outside of Arian Smith, they don't really have. And I would much rather try him on those plays if he's going to be capable and not, the ball security still concerns me. We didn't see it at all in this game, but just because of his past. But if he's not going to be putting the ball on the ground, he adds a level of explosiveness that you don't have outside of Arian Smith. And I'd much rather Smith be taking the deep stuff and the intermediate routes than these little bubble screens they've tried to throw to him. If Isaiah Williams is a capable receiver, then absolutely you could play him on offense.
I'm glad Glenn won this game too, because it showed he can overcome adversity on his side of the ball. Because this defense,
and you know what he did,
the worst defensive performance of the year, running away.
And you know what Aaron Glenn did in this game? He coached to win. And I don't mean to sound like a WFAN host or a radio jock or whatever, right? Like just throwing out buzzwords, but he did. He coached to win. He was aggressive outside of one play where I forget which one it was, but I thought he could have gone for it. It was the
field goal. One of the first field goals. Yeah.
The first field goal that they took, that was like a 4th and 1. I definitely thought he should have gone for that. But outside of that, from the jump, he played aggressive. This entire team played aggressive, trying to win this game. He played to win, and his team responded. Aaron Glenn and the coaching staff showed confidence in Justin Fields. They showed confidence in this offense, and look what happened. The team responded.
The funny thing is, in the first quarter, they did it.
Nope.
And I don't know what happened.
It was virtually the same thing. And this momentum shifts, man. Momentum can shift. There was that one drive that Fields had that he made I think it was to Tyler Johnson, where he had all day to throw, found a wide open Tyler Johnson down the field. And it was that one play that was the impetus for this entire rest of the game. You gave Fields a lot. Like the offensive line was just so utterly dominant. Like these were college pockets. It looked, you know what it did? It looked like Justin Fields playing at Ohio State. That's what this looked like.
But less vertical, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was barely even touched. And I'll give him credit. One time it was that unblocked safety blitz. He floats it to Tyler Johnson. Great throw, no matter who that is. That's a fantastic throw.
I believe that is the only QB hit that the Bengals had in this entire game. I want to see how many pressures PFF's given him right now. PFF's given him 6 pressures in this entire game, 1 QB hit.
And they were dropping back a lot. So, and a lot of them were turned into field scrambles anyway. So
yeah.
Now, let's at least, we're
Okay,
Jets fans, so
this
there's
is going to change, but the PFF right now, I'm assuming it's going to have to change. But as of right now, the Jets as a team, according to PFF, allowed one pressure in this game, and it was Josh Myers on, I forget which play. It wasn't the one where he got beat across his face. That was a running play. I think that'll change, but as of right now, according to PFF, the Jets allowed one pressure in this game.
Stop the count.
That is, I've never seen that. If that finishes that way, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Just thoroughly dominant. Man, Myles Murphy, what a waste of a pick, man.
Yeah, dude.
He can't do anything.
He was playing like most of the snaps too because of the injuries.
Well, McDonald even got a sack.
He did. The Jets pass rush was still so bad.
Let's get into the defense. All right, here's what happened with the defense. First off, let's go ball out, basically.
Sure.
Could not stop the run to save their life. Chase Brown, Samaje Perine may as well have been Emmitt Smith and Jim Brown in this game.
I don't even know how to analyze it. I don't know how to analyze that because the Jets' run defense has been awesome this year. I think it's been a little bit inflated because a lot of teams are kind of garbage time running it against them. But
so people are like, "Oh, they're 25th in yardage." I'm like, "Oh, you're not watching the games. They're down by touchdowns all the time."
I thought Quinnen's had a really good run stuffing year. Harrison Phillips, Juwan Briggs, and I think Jamie Sherwood. I don't know what the hell happened with that benching. I don't know if I don't know.
Brandon R said it was disciplinary. Is that confirmed, Brandon R, that it was a disciplinary thing?
I'm assuming it was.
Were we a college team? We're benching people for quarters now? I've never heard of that in the pros.
Very bizarre. Also concerning that your defensive captain is getting a disciplinary benching. But hey, man, that's another story for another day, I guess.
Especially when he's getting paid $50 million a year. But let's get back on it. Sherwood, for whatever reason, is benched. Mawagoa's in. They just start throwing at Mawagoa. We've gone over him. He's
he's a two-down.
A good two-down run stuffer.
Well, good
really bad in coverage.
Good is to be determined because he still misses a lot of tackles. So I don't know if I would say he's a good at that yet, but he is a two-down run stuffer.
An NFL player who can defend the run, terrible in coverage. They went at him all the time.
Yeah.
We were kind of joking about, not even really joking. We're saying, hey, Brandon Stevens does pretty well in Jamar Chase. The whole offense for most of the game was just throw to Jamar Chase.
I don't think Stevens allowed to catch in this game. Right?
Really?
Oh no, I lied. Yeah. PFF credited him with four catches for 21 yards though. And I wonder how much of that was in man. His coverage grade was 71.3.
Malachi Moore, pretty good player. Horrible game.
Bad game from him. I thought it was a bad Cisco game, and I think Cisco got benched for Tony Adams late in the game.
Yep. Azarie Thomas, he gave up that touchdown.
Yep. Outside of that, I
think Malachi Moore was supposed to be over the top, and he missed the assignment. But again, I didn't see Thomas pop up too much. It was just Chase. And again, it's simple to sit here and go, we'll just stop Jamar Chase. That's obviously very hard to do, but it seemed like when every time they needed to play, they went to Chase. We had Flacco scrambling away from guys. I'm like, okay, this is going to be one of these games.
The Michael Clemens one, man. Oh, brutal.
The best part, too, was you could see him running, and then you see Clemens, slam his hand on the ground.
If Clemens was, 40% more athletic, he'd be a decently viable defensive end. He's so slow and unathletic.
Well, if I was 6'3" and made $200,000 a year.
Hey, Mike, what did I say on Wednesday? If my mother had wheels, she'd be a bike.
Which is the only variation of that I've heard. So I was ready to come on here and just rip them a new one. Part of me is thinking, you know what? Regression to the mean. They weren't going to give up 13 points every game for the rest of the year. But part of me is they looked unplayable at times. And they looked like, okay, this is going to be a humiliating 0-8 loss. And now Glenn's defense is bad. And it's classic bad team stuff where 1 week the defense is good and the offense can't do anything. And then the offense is good and the defense can't figure it out. It looked like all that. And then through sheer tyranny of will or sheer act of divine intervention.
Hey, they were clutch. Mike.
They were bestowed with powers from the beyond and came through in the clutch.
It's so funny how the narrative is just shaped by the last thing that we saw because this Jets defense was putrid for pretty much the entire game. But what people are going to remember, what the takeaway is going to be, is Jermaine Johnson getting the pressure on Flacco on that third down play and Jarvis Brownlee breaking that pass up to Yoshi Vash on fourth down.
As J-Mark says, Brownlee was clutch.
Absolutely.
Huge. What an acquisition.
Hell of an acquisition. And it was very clear. Michael Carter is going to be traded. If they can get literally anything for him, he's gone.
They're going to get a bag of cheese doodles for him. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
He came in for 6 plays there only because Brownlee missed a few plays due to injury. That was the only snap.
And I think they went at him.
It might have, but that was the only plays that only snaps that Carter played on defense in this game. By the way, weirdly, Peyton Page only played 3 defensive snaps. Braden McGregor only played 5. The Jets basically ran a 6-man defensive line rotation in this game.
That's all they had. That's all
they didn't even play McGregor and Page. They didn't even try to play them. That's kind of crazy. Out of 59 plays, Jermaine Johnson played 54. Quinnen played 52. And Will
You
McDonald,
think it was just fatigue? You think that was part of it?
I don't know. Will McDonald played 42. Clemens played 32. They really just ran with a 4 or 6-man defensive line rotation. I have not seen the Jets do that. Johnson playing pretty much every down a few days after he apparently spoke to the Jets and got confirmed that he's not getting traded. That is, according to Jermaine Johnson, he got word he's not getting traded. That certainly would back it up. If they're playing him pretty much every snap on defense, there are very few defensive linemen in the NFL that get trusted to do that. And, I don't think the D-line was good in this game, but Johnson came through with a pressure on that third down play.
Like, in totality, I don't think there was one unit on defense that was particularly good.
No, the entire
defense. By the
defense.
way, too, Justin, if anybody ever goes off on some Sauce Gardner's overrated rant, show them clips of this game.
I will say this.
Show them this game.
I think the corners were good.
The safeties were terrible.
The safeties were bad, but I think the corners were reasonably good, given what you'd expect against T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Chase, this was a quiet game. I don't know what Chase finished with. It's probably close to like 80 yards.
12 catches for 91 yards.
Somehow, this was a quiet game. You know what? 12 catches for 91. That's 7 and change.
7.6.
T.
Higgins only had the one catch, which is the touchdown.
I don't think Chase had a catch of longer than 20 yards in the entire game. I'm pretty sure he didn't.
He didn't. No, 17 was his longest.
There you go. I mean, that's about as good as you can expect. Yeah,
and the Higgins catch was a busted coverage pretty much by Moore.
T. Higgins, 1 catch the entire game. Jamar Chase targeted 19 times, 91 yards.
19 times.
You can't be mad at
Garrett Wilson against the Vikings.
And he got 91 yards. You can that is a really good performance from this cornerback room, especially you're missing Sauce Gardner against one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. I thought the corners, especially also given Mike, there was no pass rush for pretty much this entire game. Like I think the corners played very well. The front seven was very bad.
McDonald came alive on the last 2 series. And that was it.
Kinda. That one sack was also kind of a coverage sack. He had to come across the entire formation to get there, which he could do that. He's an awesome athlete. It's a great, it's a good play. It's not like he just beat his man.
That was the only sack of the entire game for the Jets.
Yeah, this Jets pass rush is concerningly bad. They can't trade Quinnen. If they I don't think it was a good Quinnen Williams game, but man, if they trade Quinnen, I don't know what this D-line is.
This team is now again. This was an outlier bad run defense game, but still, one thing I was really encouraged about. Look, I've said I'm not a huge fan of trading Breece because you're going to have to pay to get a replacement anyway, and I don't love Braylon Allen RB1. But this game was Isaiah Davis's best game as a pro. And again, the Jets are not going to be in a better spot running back-wise without Breece Hall. But this is the game. If we get a couple more of these, like 2 or 3 more, I would feel more than confident then with Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis going into next year because – my big concern with Davis was just we haven't seen him enough. Well, now we've seen him. And again, this defense is awful. And this defense, not only is it bad at pass rushing, I know it can't stop the run either. We get all that. But what else more do you want him to do? 100 total yards.
Yeah. I've been on the Isaiah Davis train for a while. I think I've made that clear. I think he is a very good NFL running back who is going to have a 10-year career in this league because he's a very good pass blocker. He's by far the best.
Your 6th round change of pace running backs.
Dude, I mean, the thing is, like, he does all of the things that lead to, like, if you are a running back trying to make it a career in the NFL, do what Isaiah Davis does. He's a very good pass blocker. He's a good pass catcher. He has good vision.
Didn't he play special teams last year?
And he contributes on special teams. I mean, Amir Abdullah, I'm pretty sure is still in the NFL roster right now because he does all of those things.
Yes.
Like, that's why Isaiah Davis, I think, is going to have a 10-year career in this league. He's never probably going to be a lead back. He's never going to rush for 1,000 yards in the season, but he's going to be a very good running back for a long time in this league. And I think absolutely going in the next year, he's a part of the running back rotation. I still think they trade Breece, which is unfortunate that, you're going to come out of this game, go into the bye week, and 3 or 4 guys that were on this team probably are not going to be a part of the next game.
Hell of a way to up your trade value, though.
It certainly is. I think Quincy has a good chance of being gone. Michael Carter and Alan Lazard, if they can get literally anything for them, they're probably gone too. But I'm a big fan of Isaiah Davis. I think going into next year, if it's Isaiah Davis, Braylon Allen, and you sign someone cheap in free agency or you add someone on day 2 or 3 of the draft, I think that's a fine running back room. And I really don't think it's a significant downgrade from Breece, who had a really good game today. Like, this was a really good Breece Hall game.
That was it, man. Way to go out on top.
I agree. That last touchdown that he scored, if that's the way he goes out with the Jets, man, all power to him. Credit to him. He's been a really good Jet. I wish they could have done more with him, and I'm sure he's going to thrive elsewhere if they trade him. If he goes to KC, he's killing it in Kansas City. Like, we know that.
As much as we've ripped the defense, and I think in totality in the year, they haven't been particularly good. I'm more inclined to believe that they are still maybe a little bit closer to Denver and Carolina than they are Cincinnati in terms of overall performance, especially when they get Sauce back.
Would hope. I mean, I don't think Sauce was the issue. Like, I don't think if they had Sauce, the defense is any different today. I really don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, this defense has defended the run well for pretty much, even when they couldn't stop anybody in the passing game, they defended the run reasonably well, and then just crazy bad outlier game. But the offense, I want to go and ask you a couple different things about how we don't want to make too grandiose predictions here, but how does I want to see how this game sort of impacts the next couple weeks, or your thoughts on the next couple weeks, like Fields, for example.
Yeah,
we thought he was never going to play again.
We haven't even talked about the quarterback situation.
Now what do? You got to go back to him. So
you obviously have to start him. Like you have to start Justin Fields coming out of the box.
Well, now how long of a leash does he get?
I think you take it as you go. This is an unenviable position for Aaron Glenn to be in, but you obviously can't bench Fields after this performance, which it's so funny because, I think Glenn has kind of abided by the belief that you can't get benched because of injury, which I guess he didn't really do it with Michael Carter. Carter kind of got benched because of injury, but
Brownlee was just so much better.
Yeah, Brownlee was Carter was just playing so poorly. But unfortunately, as is the story of Tyrod Taylor's NFL career, just an untimely injury ruins his opportunity. That he
didn't get his lung punctured this time.
No, but it's always
by a quack doc that they hired.
It's always something with him. I feel so bad for him. It's always something, whether it's the Chargers or the Browns or whatever. He always gets an untimely injury that cost him his potential starting job. But yeah, you obviously go back to Fields. And as I've been saying all year to this point, every time we have analyzed this team, we've analyzed Aaron Glenn, we've analyzed Justin Fields, all I've said is, to this point, this is how they've been. I was saying, to this point, Aaron Glenn is the worst head coach in the NFL. To this point, I don't know how you go into the offseason feeling confident with him. To this point, I think it's a conversation that you fire him, right? But the narrative can change very quickly in the NFL.
Now everybody loves him.
The narrative's already changing with Aaron Glenn. If they stack another couple of wins over the next few weeks, yeah, man, like I don't think anybody's gonna be talking about how Glenn's the worst coach in the league and how the Jets are, a laughing stock and a shit show. And the same is true for Justin Fields. If Fields can come out against Cleveland, a very good defense in Cleveland. And
although Drake May did light him up.
He did, but Myles Garrett had 5 sacks in that game too.
Man, it annoys me. It annoys me how good he is.
I know. Garrett had 5 sacks in that game. I like Fields is not going to have the time that he had to throw in this game. So I would not expect a repeat performance. But look, if he plays even 75% of what he did in this game, the narrative will quickly change. And not only will you look to Justin Fields as the starter for the rest of the year, but you'll go into next year saying, hey, we have a capable bridge quarterback who we don't have to worry about eating all of this dead money, and we could probably still draft a guy. I don't know what Fields can do throughout the rest of the year to convince the Jets that they don't have to draft the quarterback. It would have to be a lot, and I don't think we're even close to having that conversation at any point. But I think he could do enough to come back as the bridge quarterback, right? I'm not saying he will, but narratives can change very quickly in the NFL, and this was a huge step in the right direction.
Now, for those wondering, with astuteness, I'm sure I could see you dynamically standing to ask this question. Well, why doesn't he do this all the time? That, my pupil, has eluded now 3 different coaching staffs on 3 different teams in 3 different years. We will never know. Sometimes he just gets in a mood. I think I may have said this on a past podcast or like a past post-game reaction stream. It's like watching a 3-point shooter. Like he just sees the ball go in sometimes. He's like, I got it now. Like I figured it out. And if he starts out 0 for 5, you're like, oh boy, like there's no point in having him out there because that's the only thing he can contribute.
Yeah.
I will genuinely, excuse me for the little flubbing right there. I will genuinely buy the excuse that he may have been a little hurt. Because I know that he's not the best quarterback with design runs, actually. He's more like just a scrambler who's so big and so fast he's hard to tackle. But I think they did make a conscious effort in this game to use him as a design runner, and I think they weren't doing that before, and I think he may have been limited. And if this is the field you're going to get health-wise, he's not going to be particularly good, but you can win with him. Now, moving on from Fields, though, what do you think about Glenn? Because he still has 1 win. He's still 1-7. But this has to, if not, I don't think there's a wholesale change your opinion, but he definitely earned some pluses, in my opinion, on his little grade sheet.
Absolutely.
Stuff that I hadn't seen all year, I saw from him. And I think that there is, I don't want to say that there was no hope before, and now they won 1 game, and now there is hope, but there are signs of what Jets fans thought they were getting with Aaron Glenn.
I kind of agree with the sentiment that there was no hope, and now there is hope. Like, again, to this point, the Jets had shown no reason to believe in anything this regime was doing. Nothing. And it wasn't just they didn't get a win. Like, yeah, if they had a win or two, I think it would have been a lot better, but there was a lot of red flags. And there still are. And this doesn't fix everything. But once again, Mike, narratives change quickly. You get a win here. Maybe you beat Cleveland. Maybe you win a couple more games. This team finishes with 5 wins after starting 0-7. That's a win.
New Orleans, the Dolphins.
Yeah, even four wins at this point.
Falcons just got blown out by the Dolphins. They played them.
Which, by the way, for the tank watchers out there, for the
trade for Kirk Cousins watchers out there.
For that. I started Kirk Cousins fantasy. I had no choice. But
I've seen people kind of re-upping that now.
No. For the tank watchers though, Dolphins won. Ravens won, right?
Ravens won, yes.
Ravens won. So you were looking at like the Saints and the Titans as like the two.
If the season ended today, the Jets would still have the number 1 pick.
Yep.
Although the Titans are playing the Colts, if they lose, then the Jets would still have the number 1 pick.
Because strength of schedule, yeah.
If the Saints lose, then the Saints would have the number 1 pick, and that becomes interesting if you're the Saints. If you have the number 1 pick, do you take like Mendoza, or do you go Rattler, Tyler Shuck, and then you take Ruben Bain?
We got say that again. Say that again.
Do you take Ruben Bain and roll with Rattler or Shuck, or do you go with Mendoza if you're the Saints? Because that would be interesting for the Jets.
They might take Ruben Bain and then go Nussmeier round 2.
And then the Jets could get Mendoza without getting the number 1 pick.
I could see them doing that.
They just trade down and get a haul.
We're all just assuming Nepo baby stuff with like they're gonna just go full nepotism with Nussmeier and see the local guy with the OC who's his dad's the OC. It almost feels too obvious at this point. By the way, an Aaron Rodgers-esque quote from Justin Fields said it was an emotional week. Says he broke down in tears at home. This via Rich Cimini, though not for football reasons. Says it was all part of his spiritual journey. This is
a very dogmatic stream in terms of. We got Mangold coming out from
his higher powers at play.
The great beyond influencing Jets games. Fields doing this.
Yep.
This is one of those results. If you're not religious, you're like, there's got to be something. I don't know. Because how else would this have happened?
Candidly, I'm not religious except when it comes to football. And I'm like, well, there are clearly higher powers at play here.
Exactly. Yes, that's where I'm at too. Yeah.
There are football gods that determine what the Jets will or won't do every week. And I knew that. I bet the under in this game, Mike. And I knew when I bet that, I'm like, I'm dumb for this because every time I sports gamble with the Jets, every time I bet on the Jets, not even on them, but just in something related to the Jets, the opposite happens. It is like clockwork. And that's what this team does. Every time you expect one thing, the opposite happens. Like the run defense has been good all year. Surely this is the game where, I'll bet the under and both teams will suck. And no. They let up 200 yards rushing or whatever, but they also score almost 40 points on offense.
All right, chat time. Let's get some of your comments up here. We got, again, a pretty good backlog, so let me go and search through them. We got J Mark. Told you we were going to win. You were right in the Wednesday stream.
That's right. I think you were the only one that said that, J Mark.
Yep. And then we got, let's go with Brandon R., who said, yeah, sure, was disciplinary. I don't know if that's confirmed or not.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. I'm going to try and find that.
Or I think maybe he's just assuming because why would he come back in later?
I don't know if Glenn was asked, which understandable because it probably got lost in the,
Probably ask it later in the week, maybe.
Yeah.
And then we got, I miss Quincy. And then Brandon R. again. Jets had no choice but to use running backs and tight ends in the pass game with Garrett and Reynolds out. And Tanner Engstrand was I was awesome. Going to come on here and say if they lost, like, you try game planning with these weapons.
Yeah.
That's a tall order for anybody. And he's a first-time play caller of an 0-17 with Justin Fields. And he figured out something. He's even throwing halfback passes and clutch situations on the goal line.
Which, by the way, heck of a throw by Brees.
That was the third or fourth best throw a
great ball
passer has made all year.
That was a great ball. Yeah, if nothing else, Tanner Engstrand will be able to hang his hat on this.
Would Brady Cook have made that throw? I don't know.
I don't know if he would have rolled out. I don't know if he would have gotten the space. But if nothing else, Tanner Engstrand will be able to hang his hat on the fact that he got this offense, an offense led by Justin Fields, who let's be honest, the last few weeks have been the worst quarterback in the NFL, and a skill position group led by Tyler Johnson, Isaiah Williams, Alan Lazard, Arian Smith, Mason Taylor, Jeremy Ruckert, whatever, and obviously Brees Hall and Isaiah Davis. He got that offense on the field and put up 39 points. That's pretty wild.
On the road. Granted, against a bad defense, granted with an offensive line performance that was outstanding. But still, with a quarterback the owner said is the worst player in human history,
pretty much
within the week.
literally a few days ago.
And you weren't even going to start probably. Tyrone's probably going to start.
Thank God for Woody, man. Shout out Woody Johnson. Maybe Fields just needed a kick in the ass. That's all he needed.
He didn't go far enough. If he went further, he would have got 50 points.
I do legitimately think there might be something to Fields coming into this game with kind of like no pressure, because it was just very much just, as my cats are fighting with each other. Sorry. It was very much an understanding, I think, of Fields knowing that, like, man, what's the worst that could happen, right?
We're already 0-7.
Everyone thinks I suck. The team's 0-7. I wasn't supposed to play this week.
The owner thinks I suck.
The owner thinks I suck. As he said, he was crying at home. I mean, what do you got to lose, man? Like, he's got all the pressures off his shoulders at that point. I think there might be something to that.
Awakened third eye Justin Fields. We'll see the results.
I guess so.
J. Mark Brownlee was clutch. He is such a good player, man.
Yeah, he fits what this defense needs so
Titans,
much.
dude.
Wild. Weird trade. Weird trade at the time, and even weirder in hindsight. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
We joked around about some players not passing the opposing fan test of, are you upset if you lose that certain player?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Titans fans were pissed about this, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
They've been proven totally correct. Then Brian Sternbeck, 6 different Jets offensive players recorded an explosive play today.
Who's that? Isaiah Davis, Breece Hall, Isaiah Williams,
Arian Smith,
Tyler Johnson, and Mason. No, not Mason Taylor.
Not Mason Taylor. I'm trying
Ruckert, that Ruckert player. We counting that?
Ruckert, yeah. I guess explosive just over a certain amount of yards.
Yeah, I think it was over 20 yards. We count the Ruckert play, I think.
Also, shout out Nick Folk for being perfect on the season. He has now just passed Justin Tucker for most points in NFL history.
Hey, by the way, on that Ruckert front, look what I'm wearing, Mike. Which, by the way,
the old jersey Jeremy Ruckert.
Which, by the way, this is the first time that I've worn this jersey since week 1. So maybe there's something here. Maybe it's the football gods. Maybe this is the higher power.
You were sitting on this whole time?
I was. I actually didn't realize that until just now. Then I was like, when did the last time I busted this out? I think it was week 1.
Oh, well, there you go.
I got to wear this every week now. That's
unbelievable.
Yep.
J. Mark, is there a world where we keep Quincy?
Yeah. I mean, yes, but I would be surprised. I'd be very surprised.
I don't love Mawagoa as much as I don't want to say defended him, but I've been like, all right, there's something there. I don't want to see him starting for the rest of the year. I
think there's a world where they don't trade him, but I think they probably should.
I think he's so tied into Quinnen.
I think the only way that he's on the team next year is if he takes such a huge discount to play with his brother. And like, I know they just won and we're all happy right now, but why would they do that? Like, why would he do that to play for a team that's 1-8 or 1-7 or whatever? Like, why would he do that? If he's just so happy being here, maybe, but like, if he's asking for what he should be asking for, which is, 12, 15 million, right? 12 to 15 million a year. I can't imagine the Jets pay that. And I don't blame them. I don't think they probably should.
J. Mark, with some pessimism, I don't think Fields will play to this level again because you can't replicate that pass production.
No, and that's
pass protection, excuse me. True. Like, he's not going to get one pressure for the rest of the game, but also he himself was very decisive. Mm-hmm. There were some plays where he held it a little bit, but he usually was able to make something out of it. Like, irrespective of the pass protection, I think Fields just was playing a lot better today anyway. Like, yeah he's not going to get this level every day, but if you get 75% of this, which I think is pretty fair for how good this Jets offensive line is, and Fields plays 75% that good, I mean, it's certainly not going to be particularly great, but it's certainly winnable in terms of Tanner Engstrom can construct a game plan around it. Denver Fields, Carolina Fields, couldn't do anything with it. This Fields, even an approximation of it, you absolutely can do stuff with it.
I'm just, if these PFF numbers hold, this is the single best pass blocking performance I've ever seen. It's not even just the O-line, Mike. Isaiah Davis, 75 pass block grade. Max Mitchell, 73.6. Jeremy Ruckert, 73.2.
And that's Max Mitchell.
Mason Taylor, 72.6. The only player below that, the only player with even an average pass block grade was Alan Lazard, who had 1 pass block rep, and it was a 62.3, which isn't even bad. And it was 1 rep.
And he had a big block on that Isaiah Davis long run.
Yeah, and that's just pass blocking. Run blocking was 65.8. That is the most dominant.
Make him a tight end, man. He can still block like nobody's business.
That is the single most dominant pass blocking grade or pass blocking performance I've ever seen from a team. If these numbers hold, like that is, and it's just
what I've seen watching the Jets. I mean,
yeah. I've never seen a one like again, and the numbers hold like that. That was like, or the numbers track based on what we saw. Like that was absolutely wild.
Brian Sternbeck, Brees Hall is 12th in yards from scrimmage since being drafted and 10th, pending some other results today, in scrimmage yards per game over that span. He's been about as good as you can ask.
He's very good.
Absolutely.
He's a very good player. I feel like that's directed at me because I've been lower on Brees than others. I just maybe it's the nature of the running back position where I'm like, I don't think you should be paying him 12, 13 million when you could probably replicate what he does with cheaper guys and then use that money to invest elsewhere. Like I think if the Jets were a contending team, it would make sense to pay Brees.
Or even on the fringe, and you knew you were getting a quarterback in.
Even on the fringe of contending, but man, I don't know. It'd be really tough. It'd be really tough for them to pay Brees. If they did it, I wouldn't be like livid. But I would.
And I get the philosophy of, well, we're going to bring in a quarterback anyway. Let's not give him less weapons.
I get that. I do understand that. Like, it's one of those tough positions to be in. I think they'd trade him. I think he's still traded. We'll see.
We'll go with Johnny Summers. How much longer should Wilkes get?
Well, it'd be great. It was a great 2 weeks. It was a great 2 weeks, Mike. And then it all came crashing down to this one.
Was it really even a Wilkes thing, though? I think just how do you plan for Quinnen and Harrison Phillips, who've been A+ run stuffers the whole year, just not stuffing the run against rookie guards and Chase Brown some IGP run?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look, if you're going to give the DC credit for a good performance from the defense, you got to criticize them for the bad performances. I thought that the pass coverage held up. Like that was encouraging. But man, that run defense, those players got to take a long, hard look in the mirror and just be like, how did that happen? Genuinely, how did we allow? Because this is also, again, I know they just had a big week against the Steelers last week. Before last week, Mike, this was the worst run blocking team in the NFL. Like bar none, not even close. Chase Brown was averaging 2 yards per carry over the first 6 games of the year. This was a horrific offensive line and a horrific run blocking team, and going against a supposedly good run defense. I'm stunned by what we saw today with that.
I think fatigue may have played a part. They never took anybody out.
Yeah, it might have. I was shocked to see that after the game. I'm looking at the numbers here. Like, again, Peyton Page played 3 snaps. Braden McGregor played 5 snaps. Jermaine was out there for what is 54 divided by 59? That is what, 92% of snaps he was out there for. That's when's the last time a Jets defensive lineman has played 92% of snaps in a game?
I mean, my God, Quinnen had to yell at Salah, get him to play like 60 sometimes.
Yeah, and Quinnen played 52. It might be the most. That is 88% of defensive snaps. That might be the most he's ever played in a game, Quinnen Williams, in the NFL.
So yeah, I think that's part of it too. Let's go with J Mark again. Doesn't seem like this one is on Wilkes, at least schematically.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but the run defense can't be that bad. Look, if you're giving up 38 to this defense or to this offense and it's not through the passing game, I have questions about everyone involved in that process.
Brian Sternbeck, despite blowing their tank, the Dolphins drafted a quarterback that is still their starting quarterback to this day, meaning the Jets could still win a couple games and still land a franchise quarterback.
How many times have we seen that over the last like 10 years, where it's not, I mean, even in just NFL history, where the first quarterback taken does not end up being the best quarterback in the draft. And I guess, and a lot of that is because quarterback development is not linear. And if a quarterback is if a team is picking a quarterback first overall, that means the worst team in the NFL, unless barring a trade, is getting a quarterback. And generally that quarterback is not going to go into a stable situation with a good coaching staff and a good supporting cast. So you don't want to necessarily be in a position where you're 1-16 picking first overall, drafting a quarterback. I'd much rather the Jets have 4 or 5 wins with this regime. I feel better about the supporting cast going into next year. And maybe you don't get the supposed best quarterback in the draft, but you draft a quarterback and he's joining an environment where you can develop him properly. Like that's the better way to do it.
And I will say, too, watching the games this week, not the best Dante Moore game because he got hurt in the first half, but and wasn't playing great anyway against Wisconsin. But I think Moore's QB2. I think I'm buying into Simpson a little bit more.
I think Simpson is approaching QB2 at this point. I think he's in that conversation.
I just think, well, they both have the lack of starting experience. And after some past failures on like Anthony Richardson, I'm really trying to place more of an emphasis on quarterbacks with starting experience. Mendoza has 3 years, so that helps. And then both Simpson and Moore don't have it. I think Moore is just physically the better player too, with more tools.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I still think he's too. Sellers, I'll give him credit too. Like, I know he's not been great this year. That offensive line for South Carolina is putrid. And I think he's just trying to make the most of it.
I thought he held his own this past week too, like reasonably well, I guess, behind that offensive line. But man, it's just honestly, it's going to be really interesting because I think I have a feeling this is going to be a quarterback class where there's not a consensus QB1, where different teams have different guys ranked.
I feel like Mendoza's kind of running away with it, isn't he?
I think that's the media perception. I don't know if that's going to be the case because I don't think Mendoza is a perfect fit for every team, and I think different teams.
Why not?
What?
What traits does he not have?
I mean, well, obviously he's not. I don't think he's a particularly great athlete. Like he's more athletic than like a Kirk Cousins or.
He's not Flacco.
Right. He's more athletic than a Kirk Cousins or a Jared Goff, which has been the comp for a while. I think his arm talent is good. He doesn't have like a cannon, but his arm talent is good. Like he's got a talented arm, but it's
above average.
Yeah, it's not like an unbelievable arm. But I think there's going to be teams that look at a Ty Simpson and look at him and they say, we want that more on our team than a Fernando Mendoza. I don't think every team is going to have the same evaluation of these quarterbacks, which is another reason why it doesn't necessarily matter too much if the Jets get the first pick or the third pick or the fourth pick or whatever, because they might be in a position where they get their QB1 in this draft, regardless of where they're picking.
Let's go and move away from the game a little bit, and let's just share some memories if you have any. Feel free to comment in the chat or on Facebook or Twitter. I'm not calling it by that name, wherever you are. Because losing Nick Mangold just a few weeks after we really found out how sick he was unable to get the kidney that he was asking for and passes away at 41 with 4 young children at home. I mean, it's just, you can't even conceive of the effects of that. Mangold, those might remember well, him and DeBreckashaw Ferguson came in the same draft in 2006. And then for basically over 10 years, both of them, 2/5 of the Jets offensive line was locked down for a decade. And they were both good. Right after succeeding Kevin Mawai, who's in the Hall of Fame, you could very well argue the Jets have almost 20 years in a row of uninterrupted Hall of Fame center play. A guy, and boy, was he ever tough. Mangold missed only 4 games before the final year where it started to fall apart physically. But first 10 years in the league, he misses 4 games. Rex Ryan, I thought, had a very good story about him on Sunday NFL Countdown, where it was right at the end where everybody knew he was getting fired. It was the end of Rex. Mangold's hurt really bad, and he's like, I'm playing in this game. Like, I owe it to you. I want to go out strong for Rex Ryan. And that just kind of speaks to a guy who, even as a center, you don't get the stats, so you don't see bit by bit what an impact he had. But if they had PFF back then, I bet he's number 1 or number 2 or number 3 every single year with a bullet. These Jets teams were built around the run, and he was maybe the best run-blocking center in the league for a half-decade without even really anybody challenging him there. And then you talk to anybody who was around him for even briefly. I mean, we only knew him briefly. And nothing but good things to say about him. Nothing but exemplary things as a father, a citizen, a leader, a player for the Jets. Just a guy who, if you want everybody to be like Nick Mangold. And it's a guy that is not going to be replaced ever. He's going to be imitated a lot, but never really duplicated, especially within the context of Jets history. I don't know if they retire 74 now because Fashnu's got it, but if Fashnu keeps playing with the spirit of Mangold seemingly inhabiting his body like he did against Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals, that'll be fun to watch, because I'm sure Mangold looking down, I'm pretty sure that he really was thrilled to see Fashnu kind of carry on his legacy wearing number 74.
Yeah, well said, my friend. I mean, what a day for the offensive line to have the performance that they just had. This was shades of those 2009, 2010 Jets offensive lines. The offensive lines that were anchored by Nick Mangold, by DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Brandon Moore, Damian Woody, Alan Faneca, Matt Slauson. Like this was a performance straight out of that playbook. And yeah, I think you said it all about Nick Mangold. He was a larger than life figure at a position group that is often overlooked and is not generally a position group that'll get the headlines. But Nick Mangold found ways to do that in productive ways, just by being himself, by being his amicable and easygoing and laughable self.
And simultaneously as tough as you could ever want.
As tough as hell, man. You're not going to find a single player that played with him or played against him that has a bad word to say about Nick Mangold. And like I said before, I don't think you could find a better ambassador for the New York Jets franchise than Nick Mangold, both during his time with the team and after. He was, in many ways, you could argue he was the face of the franchise at points. He was one of the most recognizable figures on the entire Jets offense or the entire Jets roster. And saying that about an offensive lineman, like there are very few offensive linemen in NFL history that you could say that about. And then his post-playing career, every chance he would get, he would speak well of this team. He was very active in the community, very active in local charities. And like you said, he leaves behind a wife and 4 kids. It's just an unfathomable loss that I was shaken. I didn't have any words when we first saw this. And like you said, we've met him, we've talked to him. And it's unfathomable. It's terrible. But again, I'm really happy that the Jets were able to go out there. They won this one today behind this performance from this offensive line. It's poetic, right? Football is poetic. Sports is poetic. And today was a good day because of that.
I mean, you look back at those teams that Mangold was on. The consensus best player was obviously Revis.
Yes.
You exclude Revis, I mean, he might be number 2.
Yes.
On some of the most iconic Jets teams ever.
I think if you asked a random stranger on the street to name players from that Jets roster, they would tell you Darrelle Revis and Nick Mangold would be the first 2 names that probably come to mind.
Exactly. Like,
as Brian said,
Sanchez because he's the quarterback and stuff like that. But
as Brian said here, he's still one of the most recognizable players. 2 years ago, starting commercials wearing a modern Jets jersey. And that's what I'm saying. Like, ambassador for the organization.
Even when they got bad, he never shied away from them. He always stuck with them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys, when they started really going into the tank these last couple of years, they're not as proud about their Jet stuff, or they join in the LOL Jets stuff. And he never did. He was always proud to be a Jet. And at the end of his career, even when he was hurt at the end, I guarantee you, if he said, I want to play one more year, other teams would have given him an offer.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody would have given him an offer, and he's a one-team guy. He said, I am a Jet. I am nothing else. And that's rare nowadays.
Extremely rare. He retired a Jet. That 2022 season, I believe it was, where they inducted him into the Ring of Honor. They inducted Ferguson, they inducted Revis into the Ring of Honor, all 3 in a few weeks to span. By the way, that game where they inducted Mangold into the Ring of Honor, that was against the Bengals. That was the last time that the Jets had
played. Was that
the
Mike White game?
No, that was 2021.
Oh, okay.
It was the year after. It was actually Joe Flacco was starting a quarterback for the New York Jets.
Wow, how about that?
And then 3 years later, unbelievable tragedy, Nick Mangold passing away, but a weird, poetic irony, whatever you want to call it, that it's against the Bengals and Flacco is playing in that game. But yeah, man, just a larger than life figure that will forever be remembered as one of the great Jets of all time, and as he should be remembered. As my cats knock shit over in the background. Hey, what are you doing? Okay.
What I remember too is talking to different fans and seeing different reactions. Obviously, everybody across the league is torn up about this.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously people start reminiscing about, I remember playing against him. I remember playing against him. And you always hear, not when receivers or running backs pass away or anything like that, but memories like that. If I remember when he would run for 200 yards, or I remember when this quarterback threw 5 touchdowns. You don't hear that with offensive linemen a lot, but everybody, Patriots fans, Dolphins fans, even other teams that were great back then, the Colts, the Steelers, they always said, I hated Nick Mangold because he was so damn good.
Yep.
And for a center to leave that indelible a mark on opposing fan bases all these years later, you don't get that really. Yeah. I don't know if he gets into Cooperstown, into Canton. You know what? He deserves it. He was such a great guy.
Yeah.
Into Cooperstown.
Would have been Toronto as well in the NHL.
Yeah, into Springfield where the Basketball Hall of Fame is.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to get in. It's a fringe case right now. I would probably lean towards put him in. For 11 years he played. He made a Pro Bowl 7 times. He made an All-Pro team 3 times. It's not offensive linemen aren't sexy cases for the Hall of Fame because there's just not a lot of stats to evaluate them on. So it's a lot of accolades, player testimonials from guys who played against him. I hope there's a lot of testimonials after this, because if you asked a lot of defensive tackles, Vince Wilfork especially, who was the best center you played against for those years, he's number 1 or number 2. Yeah. Everybody's saying he's number 1 or number 2. And if you were that good for almost a decade, you have to go in, don't you? And that gives the Jets 2 Hall of Fame centers back-to-back for 20 years between him and Kevin Mawai. And you could argue, prime-wise, just purely like a 3-season prime, Mangold may have had a better prime than Kevin Mawai. You can make that argument.
You could. I think the numbers that the Jets running game were able to put up in those couple of years, when they had those back-to-back AFC Championship games, I think that'll be.
Teams knew they couldn't throw. Yep. They knew Nick Mangold, they were running behind him. And couldn't do anything about it.
Brian said, not even a year older than Flacco. That puts the mortality really into perspective. the two personal stories that I had with Nick Mangold, they're not like crazy personal stories, but the first one was 2016, I think it was. I was a freshman in college in SUNY Cortland. Shout out SUNY Cortland. And the SUNY Cortland Sport Management Club, which was a thing that I guess I was a part of, took like a field trip to MetLife. And this was the day, Mike, that I met Tanner Purdom, and that whole story. I've told you about that.
Man, you had a busy afternoon this day, didn't you?
I did. This was I met Mike McCagnon. It was a crazy day. But before that, earlier in the day, we were like near the sideline where the Jets were warming up, and Nick Mangold was out there, and he came over and he greeted all of us and shook our hands, fist bumps. It was just super nice. Wasn't anything crazy, but just very, very nice guy. Second one, years later, with Fanside, with the Jet Press, I got an opportunity to interview Nick Mangold for this promotional thing he was doing. I think it was with Pepsi. And again, he could not have been nicer and more gracious with his time. You never know with those promo events because, you and I have both done them where sometimes the players will be, it's tough for them because they're doing back-to-back interviews. It's a bunch in a row.
I remember doing one, not to call this guy out personally because he's an extremely nice guy and he gave me some decent quotes, but I remember doing one with DeMar Hamlin, and I was interviewed number 9 of 10 with him.
And it's
like tell he wanted it to be over.
And you can't blame the players at all for that. Like it's just it's exhausting. But I remember Mangold being the nicest, most gracious dude at his time, and he was being his joyful self as he always is. And we joked around a little bit. I think I asked him like Coke or Pepsi because it was a Pepsi thing. And he was just a really good dude, and he could not have been nicer to me. And I was young then. I was 2020, I think it was. So I mean. Not that I'm old now, but I was probably one of my first 10 or 15 interviews that I'd done. So I was still pretty new at it. And he could not have been nicer. So I just a wonderful dude who, you're not going to find anybody inside or outside the NFL that has anything bad to say about him. And just an unfathomable tragedy, just a tragic loss to the Jets community and to the Mangold family.
I can remember, not that this is as personal as yours, but I can remember watching him, still the best Jets game I've ever went to. It was the last game at the old Meadowlands when they played the Bengals to win and get into the playoffs. And they beat him 37-0. And Carson Palmer went 1 for 11 for 0 yards with a pick. And I remember they would just rip off these huge runs because Sanchez wasn't even throwing. It was ice cold. You couldn't really the wind was just cutting all the balls down. So it was just a running game. And after every single play, you could just see him get just keep it going. You could just see his arms pumping and all that. Nick Mangold could have played by himself with no other offensive lineman in that game. Jets would have run the ball. Yeah. It was one of the most dominant performances I've ever seen from an interior offensive lineman. Just completely overwhelming the Cincinnati Bengals.
There you go.
Oddly enough. So a guy who, again, not to, remind everybody of the grim specter of death right here at the end of a Jet Press podcast when they won and they're 1-7, but there's no replacing Nick Mangold. There's no guy who's going to come in and really say, I'm the next Nick Mangold. There was no next Nick Mangold. There's one. There's 74.
What was Billy Price was supposed to be the next Nick Mangold? Remember that?
Many try and none succeed.
You could argue Josh Myers. Was Josh Myers Ohio State? No, he was
Ohio State. Yes,
he was Ohio State. Ohio State. There you go.
A lot of Ohio State centers, but none of them that good.
Nope.
None of them that good. Justin, I feel like we've said all we need to say about both the Jets. Now 1-7.
Agreed.
Finally got a win. They're not going to be 0-17, which just to get that stain off your resume, I think is relieving. And I think that even without Mangold, I still think that Mangold is woven into the spirit of this team in a way that you can't really wash out.
Yes, I agree. And this was, I can't think of any more fitting game to celebrate his legacy than this one. A performance where you get a much needed morale boost going into the bye week, where you get Aaron Glenn's first win of his Jets career as a coach, get Justin Fields a major confidence boost. And now you have 2 weeks to celebrate this. And it comes on the heels of a dominant offensive line performance where, again, if those numbers hold, if they allowed one pressure in this game, that is one of the most stunning offensive line performances I've ever seen from any unit ever. So shout out Nick Mangold.
One last fun stat before we get out of here.
What do we got?
The Jets in the last 25 years have only recorded 500 yards of offense in a game twice, both of them against the Bengals.
Dude, that's crazy, actually. Was the Mike White game one of them?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Then this one. That's it.
Those are the only 2 games.
Those are the only 2
Mike
games
White
in
game
25 years.
Man, they got to play the Bengals every. Screw the Broncos. I'm
The
sick of the
AFC
Broncos.
North, I mean, Steelers he did good against too. So
I don't want to play the Broncos ever again. Give us the Bengals every single
yeah.
Give us the Bengals every
No matter
year.
how good they are, no matter how good
Yeah.
either team is, the Jets' success versus the Broncos
Yes.
versus the Bengals. They need to play. I remember they'd always be good playing the Raiders when they were bad. So
Yeah.
we need more games against the Raiders and the Bengals.
Yep.
Less against the Broncos. Regrettably, we can't get less against New England, but
listen, thank you all for joining us here today. Once again, condolences to the family of Nick Mangold, just an unfathomable and tragic loss for the Jets community. Like I said at the start, stuff like this always makes me think, and it puts things in perspective, puts life in perspective. Not to get all existential here, but we talk about football for a living, Mike. We talk about the stupid team, and you guys are joining us here every week, and we're talking about a stupid football team when there's a lot more important things. So life's precious. Tell your loved ones you love them, all that stuff. And thank you all for taking the time out of your days to join us today to talk about and celebrate the Jets' first victory of the season and to celebrate the life of Nick Mangold. We'll be back on Wednesday doing more of that. Until next time, thank you all for joining us on the show today. You can follow Mike on Twitter @ByMikeLuciano. Follow me on Twitter, Justin T. Fried. Follow the Jet Press at the Jet Press. Download the Jet Press podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also become a member today to help support the show. It's a great way to get your comments, prioritizing chat as well. We're also streaming, by the way. I don't know if anyone had picked up on this. I think we saw a few people in chat. We're streaming on Twitter now from my Twitter account. So check that out as well, I guess, if you don't want to join YouTube. But I don't know. I would still recommend and request that you guys join us in the YouTube chat. It's always fun talk with you guys. We stream live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time and live immediately following every single Jets game. Thank you all for listening to Jet Press Podcast. I've been Justin Fried. That is Mike Luciano. The Jets won it for Nick Mangold today, Mike. And I'm very happy for that.
RIP 74.
RIP.